Okay, so this is the 1-6 multiplying polynomials. I'm going to do several different methods that you can use. Again, whichever one works best for you is fine. I'm going to start with the box method. It is one that is used a lot by a lot of different teachers, and a lot of kids like it. Personally, it works fine in Algebra 1, but when you get to Algebra 2, it's going to be a little bit cumbersome. So the one key part of it is you're trying to match up the type of problem to the type of box setup you want. So this is a 2-term by 2 terms, so that's a 2 by 2 box, so it's just a square. The other thing that's very important is that the second term, keep the sign. Then if it's a minus, make it a negative. If it's a positive, put it next to the number, not between them, not all along the line, so that you don't lose your negatives when you're doing it. And basically how you do this is simply you're going to multiply kind of like an L. So 3 times 2, which is 6, x times x, which is x squared. 2 times -4, which is -8, x times 1, or x. There's only one x. 3x times 3, which is 9x. And then -4 times 3, which is -12. The second step is that you take the diagonal and you add them together, like you see in the middle. There's like a plus sign in the middle. And that will give you your final, then you basically write them down. So you do 6x squared, 9 plus -8, which is +1, plus x minus 12. And that would be your answer. So for the next question, you do the same thing. It's just a 1 by 3. So we have 1 term times 3 terms. So we're going to do 3 times 3x, and then x squared plus 2x plus x. X times x is 3x squared. There's 1, 2, 3 x's. So that's x to the third, and then times 3. 1, 2 x's, so that's x squared. 2 times 3 is 6, and that's positive. And then 3 times 3, which is 9, and 1x. So our final answer ends up being 3x squared plus 6x squared plus 9x. Okay? So if that works good for you, that's fine. The next the next choice is called distributing. And here's what we call the triple rainbow in this case, because there's 3 different terms inside. It could be the double rainbow. Another thing it could be is called FOIL, which I'm not going to show you this time. We'll do that later on in the year. So we're going to just take 3x and we're going to multiply it times each piece inside. You have to do it each piece. So I'm going to write that out. 3x times x squared plus 3x times 2x plus 3x times 3. It's important you keep plus in the middle, and if there's a negative on this, put it inside the parentheses, okay? So 3x times x squared, I see 1, 2, 3 x's, so it's 3x squared. 3 times 2 is 6. X times x is x squared, because there's 2 of them. And then 3 times 3 is 9. I see 1x, okay? Remember, when you're multiplying variables, it's how many x's you see. That's your total. And actually, that's an incorrect error. Okay, so I see 1, 2, 2 plus 1 gives me 3. 1 plus 1 gives me 2. 1 gives me 1. Okay, so that's how you do with the x's. Okay, the third way, which you might not have seen, is a vertical. This works out to be the same thing as like 23 times 5. You're going to treat it the same way. And you're going to do, sorry about the focusing. You're going to do the same thing. So we would do 3 times 5 is 15, carry the 1. 2 times 5 is 10, plus 1 is 11. Same thing, we're going to do it here, except we don't do any carrying. That's the only difference. So 3 times 3 is 9x. 3 times 2 is 6. X times x is x squared. 9 was positive. 6 is positive. 3 times 1 is 3x. X times x squared is x cubed. So we end up with 3x cubed plus 6x squared plus 9x. Same difference. Just remember, we don't use an x when we're showing times. We use a star, okay? Pick the method that works the best for you. And if you want me to demonstrate more of these type, I will definitely do that. That's not a problem. So let's do a couple of problems. I'll re-demonstrate each one of those methods here on these problems. So go ahead and write down the first problem and work it in your book. Pick whichever method you choose, and then we will do the problem I'll work out the problem. Just a reminder, sometimes they write it like this, where they have the first set of terms, and then they just say times a second set. That's what it would look like as a word problem. So that's why I did it this way. Okay, what is your final answer? Okay, so for this one, I think I'm going to use the box method, since that's what we started with on the examples on the other. We have a 3 term by 1 term. So I'm going to draw a box divided into 3 pieces, and it's 1 across, 3 down. Okay, you always want to put the one that has the most on the top and the least on the side. So we're going to write 3x squared plus 2x. Notice I'm keeping the plus sign next to the 2, not in the middle, minus 3. It spreads them out. And then 3x goes over here. And now we're going to multiply. 3 times 3 is 9. And I see 1, 2, 3 x's, so x to the third. 2 times 3 is 6, that's positive. X times x, I see 2 x's, so I'm going to have x squared. And then negative 3 times positive 3 is negative 9. I see 1x, so what's minus x. So what's my final answer? It is 9x cubed plus 6x squared minus 9x. Okay? All right, second question. Go ahead and try number 2. Don't look at number 3 yet. Try number 2, and then select your answer. Okay, this one is written similar to what you might see. Sometimes they put the dot between them, sometimes they do not. Sometimes this could have been written like this. So it's the same, they mean the same thing. This time, let's use the distributing. So we're going to distribute that 2x. If it was behind, you would just distribute this way. If you rewrite it this way, you would distribute the other way. So this is what it would look like if you were distributing backwards. This would be what it's distributing forwards. It really doesn't matter. So we're going to rewrite 2 times x times 5x squared plus 2 times x times negative 3x. Okay, so that's why we put the negative, this part in parentheses, so we don't lose our negatives. 2 times 5 is 10. I see 1, 2, 3 x's, so x to the third. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. I see 2 x's, so x squared. Okay, last version is doing the vertical. So go ahead and try the last problem, and then we will do it together. All right, so we're going to rewrite this, and again, we're going to rewrite it so that we have the one that has the most number of terms goes on the top of our multiplication problem times negative 4x. Okay, and we don't want to line these up like we do in addition. That way we don't pretend like we don't think it's addition. We actually do want it to look like more of a multiplication problem. So we're going to do negative 4 times negative 1, which is positive 4. I see 1x. Then we do negative 4 times positive 2, which is negative 8. And I see 2 x's, so x squared. Okay, so you'll do assignments in HRW for 1-6.